Hello, welcome to my channel and I thank you for watching this video. My name is Rama Subramanian. You can call me as Ram. Today I am going to discuss about are we following the correct agile methodology. I have come across agile teams which believe they are following the correct agile methodology, but I feel they are not. In fact, I had worked in two mega software projects which followed the agile methodology, but I think those two teams did not follow the correct one. Let me tell you why I feel like that. Now let us see how the customer plays a major role in agile development methodology. So many organizations still have not ventured into developing their software projects in agile methodology. But when they do, they need to understand what is agile for a productive result. When they decide to adopt agile as a software development methodology, suddenly they get excited and announce that they are going to develop their software products using agile. And when they do not understand how to follow agile methodology, for example Scrum. Some of them do not have a product owner itself. Instead, they rely on the business analysts from the vendors. They should have a strong agile coach to make them aware of the agile processes. Some of the organizations, when they venture into agile, do not have a product backlog, for instance. They start with the sprints with only the sprint backlog for that sprint. This is particularly in large projects when they do not have a clear vision of what are the features they are going to incorporate in the product. They start with whatever information they have. Also, these organizations pressurize the developers to accept a new requirement in the middle of the sprint, which is against the tenet of Scrum. These changes in priorities must be worked upon after the sprint and has to be accommodated in future sprints. During the course of agile development, when some of the stories in the sprints are not completed, the ceremonies stop occurring and no sprint burn-down chart is circulating. They get the stories in Jira and developers start working on those stories. In some of the projects, there is no sprint burn-down chart available. I know it is a duty of the developers to update the board with the efforts burnt. I saw that developers update the board only when they are told again and again. I recommend the Scrum Master to sit with each developer for maybe 30 seconds and update the board with the efforts burnt on the previous day. Maybe he or she can do that during stand-up. And all these things make us think that they are not following proper agile. Now we will talk about the sprint duration. So consider this, in a large project which is going to be executed for many years, a 2-week sprint is going to take toll on developers' enthusiasm. The repeating ceremonies every 2 weeks, including the necessity for the client demo at the end of the sprint, will make the developers bored and less exciting, and then hence they might take off on some important ceremonies and become less productive. There is no hard rule that the sprints must be of 2 weeks. I would recommend a 3-week sprint or a 4-week sprint in a large project that will excite the developers to be more productive. Let us see about the Scrum team size now. The ideal team size of a Scrum team is 6 to 8 developers. Okay. But in some of the projects which you have information, they had Scrum teams with up to 30 developers. So stand-up calls in the morning will take at least 1.5 hours, and the Scrum Master will keep the entire team in the stand-up call till it is over. This happened until the senior project manager intervened and split the team into 4 Scrum teams. So we can maintain the ideal team size of 6 to 8 developers for the productive management. Let us see the other recommendation which says that self-managing teams. One of the recommendations of Scrum is self-managing teams, meaning the team has no project manager and the team members, they themselves manage the development. The Scrum Master is a remover of the blockers, and in some organizations he or she plays the role of project manager too. Definitely, Scrum teams in India needs a project manager to make things work. Definitely. In order for the team to self-manage, the team members must be very matured. Only well-experienced developers will be very mature to be self-managing. And we need a project manager, at least in the offshore, to guide the team and deliver on time with quality. This means we do not follow strictly the features of Agile methodology, and the recommendations of Scrum cannot be followed strictly in India. So now let us talk about the story size. Scrum recommends using the Fibonacci series for sizing the stories. And during the story sizing ceremony or sprint planning, the product owner will ask us not to relate the size to man days, but how to relate the size of the stories then. If I say the login screen story is of size 3 story points, then what is the size of the dashboard screen? How to relate? Is it by complexity? But that does not make us understand clearly. And definitely, developers always related the story size to the man days. They will say if the login screen takes 3 days to complete by one developer, the dashboard screen will be completed in 5 days by one developer. Even I am towards that idea of relating the story size to man days. It gives me clear understanding. A story size of 8 story points will be completed by one developer in a 2-week sprint, considering the productive days for a developer in that sprint is 8 days. Right? So let us see now what Scrum says about project documents. So Scrum recommends that we do not have exhaustive documents. What does that exhaustive documents mean? So, but every project should have at least the following list of documents, right? The design document, which includes architecture diagrams, API details, etc. The data dictionary, the user experience document, quality assurance document, user manual, deployment document, and release notes. Maybe I don't know what else we will have. In my humble opinion, we need at least above documents. Does the above list represent exhaustive documentation? I believe no. So these things makes us arrive at conclusion that we are not 100% following the Agile methodology known as the Scrum. One of the Agile methodologies is Scrum. Right? We adapt to changes whatever we need so that our project execution is very good. So we don't follow 100% the proper Agile methodology recommendations, right? If we have at least these things happen in India, so at least we see that this is all the situation in India. But if in other places, what is the kind of Agile processes? How do they follow? If you can comment on it, then that'd be good and nice. Thank you.